Okay, so we're live. Hello and welcome to today's first live stream of 2025. It's great to have you here. And if you have any questions today in terms of online teaching, how to get started, feel free to post your questions and I'll be happy to answer any queries you got. Anyhow, I was going to do a bit of a members meetup today with channel members who joined me on YouTube. Unfortunately, no one turned up. However, I did prepare something, so it was not all in vain. I'm here now to share basically what I was going to do with channel members. So hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea about what I do over on my channel and predominantly with YouTube. So if you enjoy the live stream and you want to get started with online teaching, English education, and that side of things, feel free to become a channel member and support the channel. Anyhow, I'm going to share the presentation that I organized. I did something pretty well organized and I put together something, so bear with me. I'll share my screen. And here we are. So hopefully you can see that. And I did have today's ELT experiences. It's now a live stream. It was a members meetup from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And it was something I'm going to be doing every month. So if you feel like connecting with me one-to-one via Google Meetup or Zoom or whatever's best, then feel free to become a member and support the channel. So I thought today, I did have personal introductions. And for the members meetup, I was going to be looking at getting members to introduce themselves with each other, as well as me introducing myself. And if you're new to the channel, and if you're new to what I do, I'm an English language teacher with possibly, it's around 19, just over 19 years experience teaching English as a foreign language. And I'm here based in South Korea. So, if you already know that, apologies if I'm repeating myself. However, there I am. And let's see if there's any comments. None just yet. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So let me just return back to our aim. So I was hoping to review on how to get started with online teaching and the sort of things that you need to consider if you want to get involved with online English teaching, and things to consider, think about, and that side of things, as well as the Q&A, which I had already prepared for the members meetup, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. So let me go back to our main aims and personal introductions, and let me introduce myself. So as I mentioned, I've been teaching English as a foreign language for about 19 years now, and over 19 years. My online teaching experience, I first started back in, when was it, 2015, 2016. And for me, when I first started, I was teaching for a Chinese educational online outfit, teaching predominantly kids as well as adults. And it was very restricted, very controlled. And I had a couple of things to consider. Now, the qualifications I hold quite varied. I did my first degree, undergraduate degree in international business between 2002 and 2005. After that, I moved to South Korea, started teaching English online. Sorry, not online, face-to-face. I taught face-to-face for a year, then decided to do the CELTA. And this is what kind of together and involved and interested with English language teaching. So I've done the CELTA at the British Council in Seoul, Gwanghwamun Centre. And it was the 4-week intensive course, so quite intense, quite a lot of time dedicated to it. And I was commuting from probably about 2 hours, 2.5 hours away at the time, because there wasn't the fast train from my town to Seoul. And so I was waking up at 5 in the morning, getting up really early, getting the bus, getting the train, going up to Seoul, doing the CELTA course all day, and then heading back home, getting home about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, preparing my next lesson for the CELTA course and that side of things. So that was me. And so after my teaching experience in the class 1 year CELTA course, I moved on to another institute, and I ended up working for Wall Street English at that time. Wall Street English is still around, and I worked in their one of the Seoul centers many years ago, from 2007 to around 2009, around 2 years or so. After that, I returned back to the UK. I worked for an English language institute in the southeast of the UK, ended up teaching many classes in person, predominantly young learners in the summer, adults throughout the rest of the year, and outside the summer months, I suppose. Got involved with IELTS preparation. And then my final 3 years in the UK, I was working for a university, preparing students for their academic English and that side of things. So I've had quite a varied career in the UK, done my MA and everything else like that, got my diploma, got my CELTA. I returned back to South Korea probably about August 2023. So I've been in South Korea now for over a year. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. I'll be happy to share anything that my personal experiences of South Korea, my teaching in South Korea, and that side of things. So that is my main qualifications, education experience, my teaching experience. Now, when it comes down to my online teaching experience, like I said, I've been working for an online English teaching outfit, teaching Chinese kids and adults. I have a conversational English, business English, and that side of things. I did make a video a few years ago when I was in the UK about how the online teaching industry had changed, and what ended up happening was the Chinese Ministry of Education in China decided to change the rules about English education and how much time kids could spend outside of their institute, outside of their academic studies. And there was really a push away from the sort of study mentality. And so these institutes and that side of things kind of disappeared in China, especially online education. There was a whole change, and it kind of decimated the online English teaching industry overnight in China. So the only way these outfits, these organizations could run and function was to give everybody a pay decrease, which kind of sounded bizarre, and hence one of the videos I ended up making about how English teaching in China is dead, sort of thing, and that was years ago. Anyhow, moving on, I decided to start my own online teaching career, and now I work predominantly with Preply. I do have a few private online students, and I've been very fortunate to have taught students from all around the world, not just in Southeast Asia, but predominantly like Colombia, South America, Europe, etc. So that was my online teaching experience. Now, I suppose when it comes down to the reasons, why did I get into teaching? Well, for me, I really enjoyed learning more about students, their background, their culture, where they came from, and that side of things. So it was kind of something that I was curious about. And when I get to teach new students from a new environment, a new culture, I get to know a bit more about their background and their reasons for study. And sometimes, occasionally, I get a student who just feels that they have just some challenge or difficulty when it comes down to teaching, to learning English. And for me, it gives me a sense of pride and achievement when I help someone achieve what they want to set out, whether that's achieving a band 7 on IELTS to go and study at a university that they want to, or whether that's just breaking through to a student and getting them to relax and enjoy their language learning. Right, I've got my first comment. Thank you ever so much. What have we got here? We have Wadal teaching. Hi, Martin. Glad to catch you live. I also work full-time on Preply. What is your raw opinion about this platform? Thank you. Good question. I'm going to be covering that in a moment. Where was I? Yeah, so the reasons for me to get into teaching was predominantly more about trying to help others achieve what they want to achieve, or trying to help students overcome challenges. And for me, that gives me a sense of pride. So let's get back to Wadal's teaching and his question. What's your raw opinion about this platform, Preply? Now, Preply, and again, I did make a video a few years back about my opinion, the pros and the cons. And for me, I think the benefits, let's look at the benefits first of all about Preply. So when it comes down to Preply, they help you connect with potential students. They help you organize your own schedule that's most suited for you. They also help you earn and you don't need to worry about the invoicing, the billing, chasing up for payment and that side of things, which all takes time. The platform itself works wonders. So on that side of things, that's great. However, there's something that you need to be aware of, which is for all this to work, Preply paying you, Preply sourcing the students, Preply giving you the platform to teach on, they need to take a commission. Now, when I started, and again, let me have a look, the Preply commission rates, because I don't want to guess. They have a commission model, and let's have a look. So their Preply commission model, and apologies, let me just remove the comment for the moment. Let's make it here. And so here, before starting tutoring, it's important to familiarize yourself with how our commission model works. So if we go down here, the commission rate starts at 33%. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So 33% is how they commission for the first 20 hours that you tutor on their platform. And that includes trials. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. Now, when it comes down to 50 hours, 21 to 50 hours, it goes down to 28%, 51 to 200, 25, 201 to 400, 22, 400 plus hours, 18%. So once you get to 400 hours, then you start to get lower commission rate with Preply. And it's great, but it does start to bite into what would be maybe a $25, $30, $40 hourly rate. That starts to bite into it. So you need to take that into account. And when I first started teaching on Preply, the initial, I would say the first 50 hours, you're going to be parking away a third of what you're earning towards Preply. Now, the other thing that you need to consider is the trial lessons, those first lessons that we do, and some of which I've shared on this channel. That is unpaid. That's 100% to Preply. Now, another thing that you need to consider is when it comes down to Preply itself, I think it would be good, and I suggested this, I think, in one of my videos, that Preply should have a sort of a tip in. Students could tip, or if you get to 800 hours of teaching or 1,000 hours of teaching on that platform, what are the benefits? There isn't any benefit when you get to 400 hours. After those 400 hours, there's nothing extra on that platform. So there needs to be something. They need to give something to those that have taught for 1,000, 2,000 hours of online teaching through that platform. So that's the drawbacks. Those are the drawbacks that I find with Preply. However, on balance, something that I'm happy with, because I don't need to chase for payment, and any issues that I've had, Preply have been very prompt at resolving. Right. Got another question here from Kofi's Journey. What about Tweenix? Still waiting for my application status. Now, Tweenix themselves, they have no commission rate. They have nothing structured like that when it comes down to online teaching. And it's available for everybody when it comes down to teaching English. There just needs to be, a C1 level of English ability. And they pay based on your location. So if you're going to be based in Europe, for example, you're going to get paid more than someone who's going to be based in, let's say, Korea, like myself. It's based on, and it's calculated on, the cost of living and those sort of things. So for me, it's good because, again, you can set your own hours. You can give the teaching, very quickly. If something happens and you're unavailable, you can move that student over to another Tweenix or Twenix, or however you wish to pronounce it, teacher, or tweacher, as they call it. Yeah. Right. We have another interesting question. I might not get through the PowerPoint that I really wanted to get through, but I have Hiba El Farisi. Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Martin. What about the lessons? When do you prepare them? Do you have any resources for speaking sessions, please? Good question. Sorry, I'm going to have this. Now, materials themselves, when it comes down to online teaching, there's a variety of materials available. And let me share a few materials. So, I'm going to be sharing this one instead. And as you can see here, for example, we have Lingua House. And this is my favorite, because there's a variety of materials available for teachers. They offer material for English as well as Spanish teachers. So two of the main ones. If I go to English, for example, I can either get a course book. So if you're teaching students, you've got TOEIC, you've got business exam prep, you've got a Lingua House podcast, News Bite, Speak English Business, English for Business, etc., etc. So there's a variety of different course books, but it accumulates everything that they have. And I think this sort of material is a savior. It saves me the time to prepare. It kind of, let me get bigger. There we go. It saves me the time to prepare the material. I can just download it. I tend to send the material before I teach the student. So I kind of flip it around that way. I get the student to complete some of the exercises like the reading, the writing, the listening. And then we review the vocabulary, we focus on speaking, and I see how they've done with the reading comprehension questions, the listening comprehension questions, and that side of things. So for me, that's what helps me. So there is other material as well. Let's see. There's ESL Brains. And again, I'm going to share this particular tab. So ESL Brains, here we go. And you can see here ESL Brains has the same sort of material. I like ESL Brains because they have a variety of different lesson materials. They have the materials. What they also have, as well as this, is they have like the slides to go with their lessons. So you can print out the PDFs, but you can also have the Google Slides to share with your students. So ESL Brains or Lingua House, these two are great. And let me just share the links with everybody. And I'll put this in the chat. So Lingua House, first of all, well worth the subscription. ESL Brains, there's no annual subscription for ESL Brains, but they do a monthly subscription, which I think is about £10 per month. So yeah, there we are. That's the material available that you can look at in your own time. So let me remove that. There we go. Right. We've got Ted here. Have you ever considered just hosting your own lessons on Zoom and advertising to potential students using social media apps? That's a really interesting one. I've not, to be honest. I am, I'm not so good at technology, although, I've got my YouTube and everything else like that. But when it comes down to social media and that side of things, I'm not that great, to be honest. So I've not really considered it. However, it's a great idea. It's something that I'd probably like to get involved with. And I'm not sure how I would go about it if I were to host my own lesson. And advertise it, what would the students do whilst I'm hosting the lesson? It's something to think about, but yeah, thank you for the idea. That's great. We got another comment. My gosh, besides working on your profile, the video, and completing their training, what can you do to get your first student on Preply? This is a really good question, actually. So you've got your video, you've got your profile picture set up, you've got your, you've done their training, you've got all the qualifications that you need. What is it that sets you apart? How can you get that first student? And for me, I think is to try and differentiate yourself to other teachers. If you're teaching online, there's going to be thousands just teaching general conversational English. What makes you different to all those thousands of online English teachers who just want to teach conversational English? Well, you can differentiate yourself with exam preparation. You could consider differentiating yourself by looking into, business English. You could consider looking into teaching something that you're interested in. So whether it's music, if you play a musical instrument, could you teach it? Possibly. If you're interested in teaching aviational English, for example, that could be something that not everybody knows. So if you have a specialism, then focus on that. And there are, I've connected with some other people online that are English teachers, but focus on medical English. For example, they're doctors and what have you, and they want to try and get those potential students into, to pass their medical exam in English. And yeah, it's something to consider. So what can you do to get your first student on Preply? Try and differentiate yourself so students know exactly what you offer compared to other people. I think that is what my advice would be. But thank you for the question. Right, what do we have here? Okay. Heba, thanks a lot. Very helpful. Another question, please. I do like them. I do like these questions. Keep them up. Thank you. Do you send the lesson advance to your student before the session, or they get it during the session? Because I teach German and I follow the reverse classroom technique. Okay. So what do I do? Well, for me, at the end of the lesson, I negotiate with the student the topic that the student wants to look at. So do they want to look at, if it's exam preparation, for example, I look at a particular topic that the student might not be interested about. The reason why I choose a topic that students aren't necessarily interested about is because humans tend to gravitate towards something they're interested in or prefer, whereas things that they're not interested in, they gravitate away from. And in this case, when it comes down to language learning, you've got to move yourself into an area which you're most uncomfortable with, because you learn a lot more from that rather than the predictable, the norm. So I choose a topic that the student might not know much about. I then give that student the lesson that they don't know much about. They complete the exercise and then they send it to me before the next session, before our next lesson, and then we review it together. So yeah, that's it. So I hope that helps, Heba. And yeah, thank you very much for the question. And yeah, good luck with your German tutoring. Really appreciate it. So yeah, any more questions, feel free to post it. I'll be happy to review your questions together. Right, what's next? So for me here, and I did start the live stream by going through a structure. I do have a presentation and I'm going to bring it up here. So what we were looking at just before were personal introductions, my background into online English education. And we're going to look at getting started with online teaching. So here, there are qualifications for potential online English teachers. So a few things for you, for those online English teachers to consider. And when it comes down to the educational qualification route, there is the cheap TESOL or TEFL certificates available. The more reputable ones, as you can see here, is the CELTA or the Trinity Cert TESOL. The CELTA itself is widely recognized, and it's something that you can, which kind of opens doors for you. The Trinity Cert TESOL is the equivalent, and again, there's a lot of prestige towards the Trinity Cert TESOL as well as the CELTA as well. But anyhow, that's that. I do have another question from Heba. Thank you. Keep them going. How do you determine your pricing? I have students with different schedules. Some take lessons weekly, others more often. And, excuse me, some once every 2 weeks. I currently offer 5 to 10 lesson packages. That's really good. For me personally, I like to focus on one particular student at a time, and the more lessons that particular student has, I think the more affordable you can make it, because they're making that attempt, and they're making that effort to dedicate to learn with you. So if they have, let's say, 3 lessons per week or 2 lessons per week, that's better than having maybe 1 lesson every 2 weeks, where there's less and less reliability of an income each time. It gives you a sense of stability, because you know that student's going to be coming in regularly 2 or 3 times a week. Whereas that one student who comes in once every week or so, they may not have that reliability. They may drop. And to be honest, for you and to everybody here, Christmas and January for me are completely quiet. I have no online student. Well, I do have some, but I almost have 0 coming along. I have maybe 2 or 3 regular online students having lessons with me in the evenings or weekends, and that's about it. It's incredibly quiet. And if I look at Christmas, for example, December, that kind of breaks up everything for me. In January, we've got the New Year, and then we've got the Lunar New Year, which is happening next week or coming on Monday in a couple of days' time. And so all my students from Southeast Asia, China or South Korea, they're taking a vacation. So that's completely quietens that period for me. However, when it was in the summer and I had plenty of time, I had loads of students. So for me personally, again, it depends on where your students are located and their background. And that's what I mentioned when I first started the live stream was, the reasons why I enjoy teaching these students is because, you get to know a bit more about their culture. And I've learned that there's some sort of seasonality, but dependent on where the students are located, if that kind of makes sense. Anyhow, there was a bit more of a question from Heba. I'm not sure how to set fair prices for such varying frequencies. Any tips? I think I kind of answered that. Sorry, I didn't see that question. But the more regular the student has with you, the lower the price could be. So sort of what did we used to call it in my business studies days? I can't even remember. But anyway, the more there is of something, the lower the cost could be. So it generates a greater return. However, those students that don't have that dedication to study so much, got it. Dynamic pricing, yes, I guess so. And elasticity of demand, I think, as well, depending on how pricing that elasticity could be. But yeah, very good. And, scales of economy, that was the phrase I was thinking of. There we go. Just over 20 years of business studies, and I still remember it from time to time. Anyhow, apologies whilst I quench my thirst with my favorite Korean beer. Got to keep myself quenched. So I hope that helps, Heba. So happy to catch you live. I wanted to ask you something I've been wondering about. I understand that you prepare lessons based on student needs and your arrangements with them. But should I send students an action plan or curriculum outlining everything we'll cover, like a roadmap to reach B1 level, or do you have better suggestions? Oh, for me. That's a good one. I don't like getting too fixed into this is what we're going to be doing. This is, you know, apologies if that, everybody is different. So don't take my word for it. But for me, I try and give the students some negotiation or some voice when it comes down to what they want to do in their next lesson. So there's always that interaction with the student and that agreement. So, one of the lessons that I shared recently about the 25-minute conversational lesson that I taught, that student wanted an IELTS Part 2 speaking practice. And I did that. I gave the student an opportunity to learn a bit what to expect when it comes down to a Part 2 IELTS exam. I'm sure those IELTS examiners that want to give those students that opportunity to practice and speak, then they could do the same. Of course, you could look at vocabulary and pre-teach it, and then review and the topic and everything else like that when it comes down to a longer lesson, say 50 minutes or an hour. So always try and negotiate with the student what they want, what they expect in the next lesson, because if you dictate what could be outlined and what could be included and what every small thing could be, it leaves very little opportunity for your potential student to decide, actually, I don't want that. I want to do this, or I don't want to look at this topic. I want to focus on this aspect of language, or this is great grammar, but I want to. I don't want to look at the grammar. I want to look at reading a newspaper article, or so have some dialogue with your potential student, because that's something that would definitely help when it comes down to planning your course. And so for me, what I tend to do is I just do what's best for the student, and I don't try and place any unnecessary pressure on myself. I just say, oh, I've got a topic on this, or there's a news article on this lesson, and this type of aspect that's happened in the world. Do you want to have a look at it? And they go, yes. And the worst that they could say is, no, actually, I don't want to have a look at it. So yeah, you decide what's best, but then give the student the opportunity to decide what they think is more suitable as well. Right, so that was getting started. Qualifications again. Thank you ever so much for your questions. Really appreciate it. Let's move on. So, what platforms are available when it comes down to online teaching? So, the typical platforms that we have here are Preply, as I mentioned before, iTalki, Cambly, VIP Kid. Now, for me personally, I should say Twinix as well. For me personally, I would stick with Preply, because that's the one that I've been, I've had the pleasure of working through for, probably about 3 or 4 years now. I don't know exactly, but oh well, there we go. Anyhow, there are other platforms, Cambly, etc., that you could look at. And there's also the opportunity where you can source your own students. So maybe think about how to source your own students. What could you do to source them? Well, as someone mentioned earlier in the live stream, and let me get back. Yep, it was Ted who mentioned, have you considered just hosting your own lessons on Zoom and advertising to potential students using social media apps? Well, I haven't per se. But for me, when it comes down to these private students, I've already looked at the benefits of online platforms is that you get paid. You don't need to worry about the charging and chasing up for payment. When it comes down to doing it by yourself, then you can have a look at now. Give me a moment. You can have a look at advertising and marketing yourself online through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. And then as the previous comment that was shared by Ted, you could then promote and advertise to potential students on social media by having free online lessons for students. And then that is when it's quite dictated. So, this is what we're looking at, and and you organize it, you plan it, you deliver it. And let's say it's 25 minutes. And then you always leave at the end. If you want to book a private lesson with me, book up the form here, sign up here, and that sort of thing. So there is opportunities. Right. I did have a comment before, which I kind of missed, and apologies, Wadul. So I've taught 1,800 plus hours on Preply. Be able to tip or more benefits would be great. Happy teaching. Yeah, thank you. I agree. Tipping would be great if it were available on Preply. But anyway. Right, we got Mohammed Hussein. Hi, Martin. I'm pretty anxious about how my classes would go since I do not have any official teaching degree, live in Iran, and I cannot access any of these courses. Any recommendations? Wow. It's a tough one, really, isn't it? I suppose there are available courses online, although they're not going to be recognized with, for example, if I go back to the other qualifications like the CELTA or the Trinity Cert TESOL. However, there are online courses available, which if you give me a moment, I'm racking my brain. Gosh, you get to my age and you kind of forget. It's free. This course is How to Teach Online, and it's a free course run by the British Council. And this course would give you everything you need to know about getting started as well. And you get a certificate at the end. So let me Google. What's it called? Oh gosh, I can't remember. I think it was organized by Open University or bear with me. Yeah. Oh, Future Learn. There we go. Found it. Apologies. Sorry. I'm not so good. Got it here. Let me share this instead. So you can see here how to teach online, moving online post-pandemic, and you've got a variety of different things available as well. You can learn how to create lesson plannings, explore techniques to engage with students, check progress, and provide feedback. And so all this is available. You can have a look at the topics, getting started with online teaching, preparing your students, available, join now, what will you achieve, who's the course for, etc. So there is free courses, it says here, free. It's 3 weeks, 2 hours. It's 100% online. So if you really want to get involved with online teaching and you don't have access for the CELTA course or the Trinity Cert TESOL, then maybe have a look at this. And again, I'll put the link in today's chat. So There we go. So there's that. However, I do have someone here, expert examiner IELTS. Thanks for joining in. I did my CELTA fully online. Are you sure it's not available in Iran? I suppose nowadays with the internet, there is the online CELTA that's available. All you need is a stable internet connection and the commitment to go for the I guess it's part-time online course. There was the online CELTA course that I'm aware of that's available in South Korea that you can join, and yeah, I'm sure that would be a possibility. But yeah, thank you, expert examiner IELTS, for your contribution. Well, worth considering. Got another question here. How was your experience teaching on Phoenix? Good question. My experience was kind of positive. It was, you got paid every month. You could dedicate as little or as much time as you wanted to teach on the platform. It was okay. And I would recommend anyone who wants to become a teacher, whether they're based in not just the English-speaking countries, but elsewhere around the world, to fully commit to teaching online. You can join Phoenix, and you can earn a side income. It's not going to pay a lot, but it's certainly going to pay more than nothing. Okay, we got here. Online CELTA is available. Unfortunately, however, the price is pretty high for Iranians. Yes. If you want a prestigious course to complete, unfortunately, you've got to pay for it. And for me here, let's see. If we have a look elsewhere, we've got the Cambridge CELTA. And let me bring this to stage. So we've got the CELTA certificate in teaching English to speakers of other languages. It's online. How is the online different to face-to-face, etc., etc.? And it's 11 weeks. The online is a 11-week course. And you can see here, if I zoom in, for example, it's certainly great. Where's the zoom in button? There we go. So you can see here, starts at the 10th of March, orientation. So you got 10th of March, week commencing. You got the live room, 12th, 19th. Then you've got 31st, 2nd of April, 16th of April. You got various other things, and input sessions, assignments. So it's all doable, but unfortunately, you have to pay for it. And yeah, they're accepting applications now. Here you can see the course is 2.5 Korean won, 2.5 million Korean won. It's not really changed since I started, although mine was face-to-face, but if I go to here and put in Korean won, you're going to look and you can see here it's about $1,800 US. However, if you want a reputable course, unfortunately, you need to pay for it, I'm afraid. And yeah, certainly consider the cost. For me personally, I paid 1 month of my salary in South Korea to pay for my course, and I had the support from my good wife at the time, and I considered it more of an investment, and I think it's great. Oh, we have someone who's actually doing their online online CELTA course. So Nietzsche, he says, I'm currently doing the CELTA online full time in France, 4 days a week for 5 weeks. Very intense, but very rewarding. So yeah, certainly look at the online CELTA course. It's incredibly rewarding. You get to meet other individuals, albeit online. You connect with others, and it could lead on to other things. So, although the initial cost of doing the course itself can be quite steep, the return on that investment is greater. And you'll be better placed to teach English compared to those that haven't done the course. That's my personal opinion, and I'm sure those that have done the CELTA course themselves would agree with that. Now, where are we? We're going to the final few steps of my presentation. Platforms to teach on, we've covered that. Getting started with online teaching. Well, a couple of things that you need to consider if you're going to get started with online teaching. You need to think about your profile. You need to take a good photo, a suitable photo of yourself. Try and put a shirt and tie on, make an effort. Put yourself against a blank background, and so someone has a good idea about who you are, and it gives you it's that first impression. So get that photo set up, get that someone to take the photo for you, put on a shirt and tie, and that will be great. Think about your brand. What do you want students to see you as? What's the brand that you're trying to foster? Think about an introduction video. Now, everybody has these days, most people have a camera in their pocket, and apologies for my Korean-based phone case. I do like it, but there is a camera, and all you need to do is to put your phone onto a couple of boxes and maybe sellotape it onto the box, or sellotape it onto a music stand or something like that. If you've got, use your creativity to get the camera at eye line level. You don't want someone to hold the camera and shake whilst you're recording. You don't want that at all. You don't want someone to put the camera down and then it's looking up at your nose. You don't want that for your introduction video. You want something at head level. And think about what you're trying to introduce yourself as, because when it comes down to the introduction video, you want to basically introduce yourself, who you are, what you teach, your specialization, and what students could expect from you. And I've not updated my video for a while. I need to do that soon, because the last time I put in a lot of effort to create my own video. Let me see if I can find my introduction video. Bear with me whilst I look at it. I want to have a look at my profile on Preply. And one moment whilst I close a few things. So here, I've got my Preply profile, and you can see I've got my video. I created a thumbnail, but it's quite a number of years ago. So definitely consider investing, and you'll see. I'm just going to play it. Come on, load up. Let's see. Hello and welcome. My name is Martin, and I'm an English language teacher. Okay, so that was my start of my introduction video. As you can see, when I start to look at the video, it's in teaching English. I added video of me teaching in a classroom, so it gives some indication that I'm I'm not just an online teacher, but I've been doing it for many years. I put in all sorts of B-roll, the sort of things that were happening, what I was talking about. And I put in perhaps about a week of effort to make this 1 minute, 20-second introduction video. And I was quite pleased with it. But, for me, I need to update it because I'm no longer in the UK. I'm in South Korea. Anyhow, let's return back. And as I mentioned, you need to specialize yourself when it comes down to online teaching. Think about what your specialism is. Are you doing exam preparation? Are you going to be focusing on medical English? Are you looking at law? Or are you going to focus on getting students to pass a particular type of exam and that side of things? Think about what you're interested in, and this will certainly come over and it will help you. Right, we've got a question here from Sarah Sheehan, and she mentions how to market yourself as a new teacher, best platforms to use as a new teacher. Thanks. Straight to the point. Really like it. Thank you ever so much. Appreciate it. How to market yourself? Well, create maybe short videos of yourself teaching a specific thing. Did you know these 5 things are important when it comes down to English? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then just produce it and update it, and share content once a week or twice or 3 times a week, whatever you decide. That's something you could prepare yourself and market yourself as. Best platform to teach online for me would be Preply. I prefer Preply. I've been using them for 3 years now, and I'm really happy with them. But there are other platforms, as I shared earlier in today's live stream. Right, I'm going to go and wrap up because we're getting to the hour. Thank you for holding on. I really appreciate it. I also see it as an investment. Okay, so we're going back to the IELTS and the courses. I see it as an investment. If I were to work a minimum wage job in Iran, it would take a full year to make that much money. Thank you for the recommendations. You've been a lifesaver. You're very welcome. Keep going. Every challenge, every struggle you go through makes you stronger. So don't worry if you can't do it just yet. Just make sure that you get to there in the end, and you'll see the difficulties that you experienced before and where you are now. And so it might not be able, it might not come to fruition straight away, but it will do. And I'm sure you'll make it. Right, we're getting towards the end. I shared about an introduction video. I shared about specialism. Now, I left it with any final questions. I've got about 2 minutes remaining of today's live stream. I really appreciate everybody who has joined today. Really appreciate the questions. They've been some great questions, to be honest. If you have any questions, whether it's about online teaching, teaching face-to-face, living in South Korea, getting a job in South Korea, getting a job elsewhere, feel free to let me know in the comments. Again, I've got a minute and a half, and whilst I wait, cheers. Well, okay, currently doing CELTA in the UAE. Your videos have been super helpful. Thanks again. You're very welcome, Sarah, and best of luck with your CELTA. I really appreciate it. Expert IELTS examiner, thanks for the stream, Martin. All the best. You're very welcome. I'm going to do a live stream next week. I really enjoyed today, so I really appreciate everybody tuning in. It was great. Also, you might consider signing up to buy me a coffee to allow your audience to give you tips, since Preply does not offer this. Thank you. if you want to buy me a coffee, and I really appreciate this, I'm already signed up to this. You can do. You can buy me a coffee, and it would certainly help cover the costs of these and support these live streams and that side of things. I'm not entirely sure where it is, but oh well. However, if you want to support the channel as well and you're on YouTube, feel free to become a member or just donate. It would be grateful. Anyhow, thank you ever so much. I'm going to leave it for today. I hope everyone has a super weekend. It would be great if I can do another live stream next week. But for now, thank you ever so much. Take it easy, stay safe, and happy teaching. Bye-bye.